hi there. I'll be with you in just a second. Just let me finish this. And done. I'm sorry to make you wait so long. I just couldn't put down this book until I finished reading these 3 stories. I've been reading these 3 stories, all from the Old Testament, and all about water. We're talking roaring, raging, splashing, colossal amounts of water here. All this talk about water is really making me thirsty. Much better. Now I'm all ready to introduce to you our new series, H2 Old Testament. As you might know, H2O is a term scientists sometimes use to describe water. So H2 Old Testament is all stories from the Old Testament about water. But they're not just about water. They're about how God uses water to reveal something about His character. So take off your raincoat and put down your umbrella and get ready to soak in all that God has to teach you through these wild and wet stories. The first one is about a man who has to build a boat in the middle of the desert. We should go somewhere to set the mood. I think I know just the place. Come on. Here we are at a boat store. This is where people come when they need to buy a boat. As you can see, they have boats of all different shape, color, and size. But this one is my favorite. Now, back in the days of Noah, they didn't have boat stores where you could just come and buy a boat. So when God told Noah that He was going to send the great flood, Noah had no choice but to build the boat himself. Now, the boats in here are pretty big, but they're nothing in comparison to the boat Noah built. His boat was bigger than that one, and even that really big one at the end. Have you ever seen one of those commercials for those really, really big cruise ships on TV? That's more of what we're talking about. Oh, but I'm getting off track. I think we need to go back to the beginning. The story of Noah in the Bible begins with these words. The Lord saw how bad the sins of man had become on the earth. All of the thoughts in His heart were always directed towards what was evil. The Lord was very sad that He had made man on the earth. His heart was filled with pain. So the Lord said, I created man on earth, but I will wipe them out. I will destroy peoples and animals alike. I will also destroy the creatures that move among the ground and the birds of the air. I am very sad that I have made man. Why did God decide to send a flood that would destroy all the creatures He Himself had made? Because God was sad. He was sad for the things that were happening on the earth. He was sad that people were being mean to each other and being cruel. But there was one man that made God happy. The Bible said that Noah was a righteous man. Now that doesn't mean that Noah always did everything right. It doesn't mean that he never made God sad. It just means that he knew how to make things right with God when he messed up. He didn't want to keep making God sad. He didn't want to live a life full of sin. And for that reason, God decided to save Noah and his family from the waters. But it still wasn't easy for them. That's when the boat comes in. God told Noah, a man living in the desert who'd probably never seen more than a trickle of water in his whole life, to start building a boat. This wasn't just any boat either. God told Noah to start building a very large boat called an ark. This boat had to be large enough to not only house Noah's family, but also all of the animals that God wanted to save too. God gave Noah specific directions about how to build the ark, and then He said, bring 2 of every living thing into the ark. 2 of every kind of bird will come to you. 2 of every kind of animal will come to you, and 2 of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you. All of them will be kept alive with you. Noah did everything exactly as God commanded him. Now that was one big boat and a whole lot of work. Imagine having to take care of all of those animals and having to clean up after all of them. Yuck. And it's not like they had acres of land to roam around on. They were cooped up in a pretty tight space, kind of like this one. Imagine feeling cramped like this for 40 days and 40 nights. Once Noah's family and the animals were in the ark, the water started to come, and it did not stop. It came from the skies above and burst up from the ground below. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights until all the earth was covered. Noah and his family and the animals floated around in that boat for a whole year until finally God sent a wind to blow back the waters, and slowly they started to go down. Noah sent a raven out from the ark to find dry land, but the bird just flew back and forth with no place to set its feet. Later, he sent a dove on it, and on its second try, the dove came back with an olive branch in its beak. So Noah knew there had to be dry land somewhere. Finally, after more waiting, the earth was completely dry. God called Noah and his family out of the big boat, and told them to fill the empty earth with many new children. And then God made a promise to them. I will never put a curse on the ground again because of man. I will not do it even though his sin makes me sad. I will never destroy all living things again as I have just done. From today, we will start again new. Here is the sign of promise I am making. I have put my rainbow in the clouds. It will be the sign of promise between me and the earth. Sometimes, when I bring my clouds over the earth, a rainbow will appear in them. Then I will remember my promise. The waters will never become a flood to destroy all life again. And God blessed Noah and his wife and their sons and their wives. And from this one man who knew that sin made God's heart sad, a new family of children was born, and a new hope was born on earth. The end. But not really. Even though Noah's story is finished, ours isn't. God promised to never flood the earth again, which is great news for us. But it's still true today that when we sin, it makes God's heart sad. Sin makes God sad because he knows what's best for us, and sin is not what's best for us. If we want to be people after God's own heart, we need to feel sad when we sin too. It's not fun to feel sad, but sometimes feeling sad is the right thing to feel. We have to remember that by feeling sad, it helps us remember to do the right thing next time. We aren't always going to do the right thing. That's just the way things are, just like Noah. But as Christ followers, we need to make the wise choice by asking for forgiveness and letting our sadness turn us around. By remembering that our sin hurts God, it helps us move in the right direction. I hope you thought about the story of Noah in a whole new way today. You're going to talk more about this in your small groups. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask your small group leader. I hope you join us next week for our next H2 Old Testament story. Have any idea what it might be? I'll give you a clue. It doesn't have anything to do with boats. Although, it's too bad. I'd kind of like to give one of these a test drive. See you next week.